You just smile. And then you can choose a thumbnail. On the slide. Yeah, on the slide.
Back. Hold the post. And we are live. Yeah. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy King Gino. Today we're covering chapter 4, section 1 of our book, Decolonial Marxism by Walter Rodney. I'm your host. I'm here with my beautiful co-host.
Hey y'all, I'm Jalen.
And we're gonna dive right in. Today's section is Tanzanian Ujamaa and Scientific Socialism. So we're almost done with this book.
Yeah.
Super exciting. Yeah, let's get into it. Got some definitions, I think, or I don't know if it's definitions, but our first slide.
Okay, so Tanzania, officially the United Republic of Tanzania, is a country in East Africa, situated just south of the equator. It's the largest country in East Africa, and it has a population of around 62 million people, yet the most populous country entirely south of the equator.
Yep, and that's where most of this chapter takes place. He's really doing a deep dive into Tanzania.
Swahili is the national language and English is the official language. Tanzania has a vibrant artistic scene, including the unique Tinga painting style and the famous Makonde sculpture. Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's highest peak, is also located in Tanzania. Love that art style.
Yeah, super cool, super colorful.
What it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that art style too. Very colorful, very cool.
Very cartoonesque.
Yeah. It's a beautiful country. It's a lot of people go there for like safaris and stuff. Yeah.
Historical materialism. The theory that postulates that all institutions of human society, example, government and religion, are the outgrowth of its economic activity. Consequently, social and political change occurs when those institutions cease to reflect the mode of production, that is, how the economy functions.
So these are one of those terms that you hear a lot in Marxism. He uses historical materialisms, pretty much saying that the way humans interact with the world is based on how we can get the supplies necessary to survive. So how much control over the environment we have for our food, for natural disasters, being protected from that, and disease. And until we've conquered food, drought and disease, and pretty much all the things we need to survive, we can't reach utopian communism. So it's treated as like a scientific theory, and that it's based on what is. So it's the science of, okay, why is this society structured this way? It's because they get their money from this natural resources, or they built their relationships like this. So, yeah.
Scientific socialism. The application of historical materialism to the development of socialism as not just a practical and achievable outcome of historical processes, but the only possible outcome.
Right. So it's like, again, like it being a science, meaning, that is what happens with humans. Human civilization grows in a very specific way, and it hits certain steps when humans have achieved certain landmarks, and being able to survive and provide for the people. Yeah.
Ujamaa, a Swahili word meaning familyhood or cooperative economics, was a socialist ideology and social and economic policy implemented in Tanzania by President Julius Nyerere, emphasizing communal living, collective farming, and self-reliance.
So this is that concept that we talked about last week as well. And it's also a word for Kwanzaa, but meaning the collective economics. Yeah.
Arusha Declaration. The Arusha Declaration is known as Tanzania's most prominent political statement of African socialism, Ujamaa or brotherhood. The Arusha Declaration is divided into five parts: the TANU Creed, Socialism, Self Reliance, TANU Membership, and Arusha Resolution.
So in 1967, um, the president, the first president of Tanzania, and he was also, I want to say, prime minister of Tanganyika before they um, joined with Zanzibar, given the word Tanganyika and Zanzibar making the country Tanzania. It's actually two countries that came together, which also why I think their flag has two different colors coming together. There were two different nations coming together to create Tanzania. It's a socialist doctrine based on the ideas of socialism and Ujamaa. And the real idea with this declaration was, okay, Marx says you have to go from slavery, or you go from feudalism to slavery to capitalism. And because the people of Tanganyika and Tanzania were communal people, and they've already had that socialist, community perspective, they're like, okay, we don't ever have to go through capitalism. So they just went for socialism without necessarily um, structuring their country ever as capitalist. So they're sort of just skipping the steps of capitalism and avoiding those problems and going straight to socialism. And so they declared it in 67. They declared that, imperialism's bad, discrimination's bad, racism's bad, white supremacy is bad. And they've sort of made a doctrine to fast forward past the ills of capitalism. And it's pretty cool. We're going to read some of it after this.
Ujamaa villages. Ujamaa villages were constructed in particular ways to emphasize community and economic self-reliance. The village was structured with homes in the center and rows with a school and a town hall as the center complex. These villages were surrounded by larger communal agriculture farms. Each individual household was given about an acre or so of land to be able to harvest individual crops for their own families. However, the surrounding farmlands were created to serve as economic stimulants, as structures of production.
So they made these villages that were designed to self-sustain. So the people there would be able to farm all of their own food, and there would be farms outside of that that could supply whatever, they weren't able to grow on their own land. And pretty much everybody shares and takes care of each other in these villages. And that was the idea behind that. They built some. I'm not sure exactly how successful they were, but this communal emphasis, this philosophy of we're all together, is deeply ingrained in Tanzanian culture, even prior to the Arusha Declaration. And so now it's like in law, which is pretty cool. Honestly, just I think a great accomplishment for human civilization to, we know where this capitalism thing is going. Let's just not structure our stuff like that, so we never even have to deal with those problems. Yeah.
And conclusion. Socialism is inconceivable prior to the emancipation of man from such elementary forces as drought, flood, and disease.
Right. So true socialism can't be achieved until humans as a species reach that point technologically. Which, I mean, in a lot of ways, we have conquered drought, flood, and disease in a lot of ways, which Marx would argue would show that we're in the signs of late stage capitalism and that we are transitioning into a socialist world as this technology develops. And then I just wanted to read the first couple. You want to read just this?
Yeah, we'll go on it.
Is this good?
Oh, okay. Which one's A through E?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the Tanu Creed.
Yep. This is the Arusha Declaration, and this is just part one of it.
So that all human rights, all human beings are equal. Every individual has a right to dignity and respect. Every citizen is an integral part of the nation and has the right to take an equal part in government at local, regional, and national levels. That every citizen has the right to freedom of expression, of movement, of religious belief, and of association within the context of the law. That every individual has the right to receive from society protection from his life and of property held according to law. Keep going.
No, no. Pretty much these are the basic tenets of it. And then part two is absence of exploitation. So they're building into their country the principles of like, yeah, it's a socialist state. And they specifically say, we don't want capitalism or feudalism, which is, I mean, really significant for a governing doctrine to even mention capitalism or feudalism. They're mentioning it. They're saying that's the enemy. We're not doing feudalism. We're not doing capitalism. We're working towards socialism. This is a socialist state. These are the tenets, and this is how we're going to get there. And this document is one of the vehicles they use to get there. And it goes and it outlines socialism as a belief, policy of self-reliance. We're at war. Tanu is involved in a war against poverty and oppression in our country. The struggle is aimed at moving the people of Tanzania from a state of poverty to a state of prosperity. So just a very intentional way to build their country and outline their laws. And that's the Arusha Declaration. It's not that long, but it is pretty long. It's pretty much the Tanzanian Constitution, but it's explicitly against feudalism, capitalism, and exploiting people, and it's for the poor masses, as the country should be. Yep, and that was it. So, yeah, thank y'all so much for tuning in this week.
Turning pages, sparking conversations.
Thank you.
See y'all next week. Get to smile for it.
Oh, yeah. Yay.
Yay.